Good morning. Welcome, everyone. It's so great to see so many of you in person, and welcome to everyone online. I'm Noelle Spears. I'm the Vice Chair of Education for the Department of Pediatrics, and we are so excited to kick off our season with our very own department chair, Dr. Terence Dermody, who will provide us a state of the department. So many great things have happened since last September, so I think it's very fitting that we kickstart this way. With no further ado, Dr. Dermody.
Thanks, Noelle, and thank you all for coming to our 2023 State of the Department address. It is just terrific to see you all. Terrific. I hope that COVID numbers will stay sufficiently low so we can continue to gather like this in person, but it's just so great to see you. And all of those who have dialed in from home, good to see you too. Although I don't see you as well perhaps as you see me, but it's anyway good to see you. I want to begin with some thanks. Many people to thank for State of the Department this year. I want to thank our hospital leadership and our President Diane Hupp, and our foundation leadership and our President Rachel Petroselli. I also want to thank our school leadership and our Dean Anantha Shekhar, and then our system leadership, the UPMC system leadership and our CEO Leslie Davis, all who have contributed so much to making it possible for us to accomplish the goals that we have, and I'm grateful for all of them. I must say I'm also grateful for the poets, the pirates, the queens, and the kings who all collaborated together to give me the material for this State of the Department address. It's at least 40 people who gave me slides and photographs and fact-checked me, which needed to be done often, so I could share the accomplishments of our department in the last year. And I have to say, if I shared all of the accomplishments, it would probably take me a whole 24-hour interval. And as much as I would like to give that talk, I'm not sure you would all like to hear that for 24 straight hours. So I've done my best to curate and choose the most notable accomplishments, with apologies to those I haven't been able to mention. There are so many accomplishments to share. And so I'll begin and remind you at the beginning that this address can be interrupted freely and frequently by applause. That's absolutely A-okay. This is the State of the Department. So let me first begin and just share, fellow Childronians, the state of our department is sound. Indeed. It's grand rounds, and let me just thank Noelle Spears and Savannah Ryder and the others who contribute to the grand rounds program every year. And so thank you for doing that. And because it's grand rounds, I have to make some financial disclosures. So the UPMC Children's Hospital Heart Institute expansion, behavioral health initiatives, child life programs, and pediatric research endeavors are expensive. There's no other way around it. And I again want to thank Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh leadership and also the Children's Hospital Foundation leadership for supporting these endeavors and so much more of what we do. Okay, the game plan today is I want to review some demographics of our department as I've done in the past, and highlight a couple of trends that we're following that excite me. I'm going to highlight some clinical service accomplishments and share some numbers that you might know or know of, but I want to present them to you so you have them. I'm going to give you some updates about education, training, and faculty development. And then I'll share some major discoveries with you all. And I'm going to introduce this year inaugural research awards from the Department of Pediatrics. That's a first. And so I'll share those with you toward the end. And then I want to close up with some absolutely amazing advances in pediatrics. And I want to share a couple of those. And then finally, some thanks to our divisional and executive leadership. We're blessed to have so many wonderful leaders in our department. Okay, so you know I'm a fan of Stephen Covey, and of course Covey's second habit of the 7 is to begin with the end in mind. And I just think I want to begin our State of the Department today with this goal. It's our aspiration at UPMC Children's Hospital to be a worldwide leader in pediatric healthcare, education, and discovery. And this is our aspiration, not because we think that there's anything particularly noble about leading. It's because the problems that we seek to solve are hard, big, challenging problems. In order to make progress, we're going to need to form large interdisciplinary teams that bring together folks with a diversity of backgrounds and expertise, working together in concert to solve these problems. And to do that, we need to lead. We need to set the standard, share what we'd like to accomplish, and then bring others to join us in this effort. And that's why we want to lead. So who are we? So the Department of Pediatrics, which constitutes between 2/3 and 3/4 of the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh community, consists of 26 divisions, centers, and institutes across the department. We have 373 faculty. That's up 17 faculty from last year, 17. And of course, the other most significant area of increase has been in our research staff, where we've added 14 members to our research staff, bringing that up to 285. When you add these numbers together, we're now a department of 1,433. And y'all, I don't mind writing recommendation letters for all y'all. I just want to make that clear right at the beginning. And thank you for that applause. It's a wonderful, fulfilling part of what I do is to recommend you for things. Okay, so a little bit more into who we are. We're a faculty that is composed predominantly of women. 62.5% of our faculty are women. And that figure has been pretty constant during my tenure as chair. I began in June of 2016, so pretty much the same. Our ethnicity distribution is on this slide, and exactly 33 of our faculty come from groups, racial and ethnic groups that would be defined as underrepresented in medicine. 33 of 373 is 9%. We were a little over 10% last year, so we want to try and get back to that number over 10% if we can in the year to come. This just shows you a breakdown of the nature of the racial and ethnic distribution of our faculty. And you can see we've had some growths in some areas and some departures in others. So for our team who helms this effort, Loretta Mateo and Sylvia Wusu-Ansa and Maya Raghavan, they're working so hard with all of you to try and enhance the diversity of all the members of our community, our students, our residents, our fellows, of course, our faculty, but also our staff too. And so I want to thank them for their amazing efforts in this regard. The other point I want to make is about faculty rank and how that distributes by gender. And you can see this on this slide. And I think the big point is that 73% of our assistant professors are women. So our women are predominantly younger faculty. We have 55% who are associate professors. That number is growing, and 39% of our full professors are women. And that number is growing, but slower than the associate professor number. So those are areas that we're paying attention to. The other trend that I just started to follow is how are we doing in gender equity with regard to our leadership appointments. So we've appointed a lot of vice chairs, division directors, clinical services directors, program directors. We've made several School of Medicine appointments, leadership appointments. And this just breaks that down. So in red is the percent of our leadership appointments that are men, and in blue are women. And when you add this up over this 5-year interval, this approximates, it's actually a little bit more than the percent of women in our faculty. So even though the older, more senior, not older, just more senior members of our faculty skew more toward men, our leadership appointments have pretty much reflected the distribution of our faculty. And I must say I'm really proud of that. And I'm really proud of everybody who has contributed to these search committees to identify folks and recruit them and retain them here and make everybody who are in leadership roles feel welcome. So I'm pleased about that. Okay. Now, we had 9 promotions this year. I want to call these out because it's really, really important. 9 promotions. Diego Chavez was promoted to professor, and Kavita Conti to associate professor. Jess Garrison also associate professor, and Tim Hand was promoted to associate professor. Scott Maurer was promoted to professor, and Yvonne Morel was promoted to associate professor. Sylvia Wusu-Ansa was promoted to associate professor. Uday Pandey was promoted to professor, and Kristen Ray was promoted to associate professor, all within the last year. Can we acknowledge these wonderful faculty? Indeed. And here, let me just call out Rick Saladino, Sylvia Choi, and Savannah Ryder for helming these promotion processes to ensure that our portfolios are the standard by which the School of Medicine promotion portfolios are judged. Really pleased about that. We had some notable retirements that I want to acknowledge. Pediatric neurology lost two icons to retirement this year. Not really lost, they retired, and we're grateful for their service at UPMC Children's, Gule Alper and Pat Crumrine. And so wonderful pediatric neurologists. And then Ray Frizzell retired formally this year. And Dr. Frizzell, world-class cell biologist, and he was the first to understand that the epithelial cells that line the lung of persons with cystic fibrosis didn't secrete chloride. And this was at a time before there was any idea that there was a mutation in a chloride transporter. This is absolutely field leading, and of course, set the stage for these great advances in CF treatment that I'm going to show you a little bit about later in my talk that have had huge impact on survival for kids with CF. This is Ray receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Cystic Fibrosis Research Center. Okay. Our faculty had an amazing year with regard to awards and accomplishments, just amazing. And trying to pick the highlights of recognition that have come to our faculty, one of the most challenging aspects of putting the State of the Department talk together. But I want to highlight several and then some very special achievements earned by our faculty. Gaurav Arora was elected as a fellow in the Heart Rhythm Society. Amy Biller received the School of Medicine Clerkship Preceptor of the Year. This is right before she stepped down, sort of like Michael Jordan sinking a shot to win the championship. Diego Chavez, very decorated member of our faculty, we're grateful, received an amazing University of Pittsburgh Provost Award for diversity in the curriculum. Well done. Adam Christopher received a UPMC New Physician Excellence in Clinical Care Award. That's amazing. Aaron Cummings. Aaron received the William I. Cohen Teacher of the Year Award from our residents, pretty much the highest honor that our residents bestow. Amazing. Jackie Ho was elected to be a member of the Council of the Society for Pediatric Research. It goes on. Maya Raghavan received a University of Pittsburgh Sustainability Award for her work on climate change. Amazing. Deepa Rajan became the chair of the neurogenetics section of the American Academy of Neurology. Pretty big role. Kelsey Schweiberger was appointed a Putman Scholar from the Academy of Communications and Healthcare. Suresh received another amazing award, the Healthcare Information Society Changemaker Award, and all y'all know Suresh is a changemaker. Congratulations. Mel Tavares received another William Cohen Award, but this is from the School of Medicine for her excellence in clinical skills instruction. And then Kishore Velodi received the UPMC Senior Physician Excellence in Clinical Care Award. So we had a junior and a senior this year. Just amazing. It goes on, y'all, it goes on. We had several UPMC Excellence in Patient Experience Awards. And I should just tell you, there are about 4,000 physician providers across the UPMC, about 4,000. 48 received this recognition. So 8 were from the children's community, a whopping 17%. We're hitting way above our weight in this regard. And I want to call out Taylor Abel. Now, Taylor's a neurosurgery, but we're going to make him an honorary pediatrician because it balances the slide, symmetry about 8. I like that. And then Lee Berman, Luis Fernandez, Amy Jean, Daniel Kites, Chope Lankolan, and then Whitney Sinceri and Amanda Willingham from CCP all received these UPMC Excellence in Patient Experience Awards. We had 4 ACEs Awards this year, 4 of 11. There were only 11 given across the whole system, 4 pediatricians. And so well done, Faraz Alyssa and Luigi Garibaldi, Cheryl Hillary, and Gerald Montano. Just a spectacular accomplishment, UPMC ACEs Awards. 3 of our faculty were inducted in the Society of Pediatric Research, 3. That's really pretty terrific. And I want to congratulate Allison Silva, Tracy Kasmersky, and Maya Raghavan, all for being inducted this year into the Society for Pediatric Research. And then we had some thank you for coming down front. These are like the $150 seats, you know. See my cheek right up against the glass. Yeah. Thank you for coming down. Okay, some amazing awards I want to single out and share with you all. Just amazing. First, our very own Kristen Ray in the Division of General Academic Pediatrics was named a University of Pittsburgh Schools of the Health Sciences Ascending Star. There are only 5 of these given this past year. It comes with the recognition, some research support, and a great talk that Kristen gave a couple of weeks ago. And we're very proud of her for this accomplishment. It's been a good year for Kristen. She was also selected to participate in the Executive Leadership and Healthcare Program. That's part of the ELAM program. So she's one of the only Pitt faculty members selected for that program this year. Silva Arcelanian received the ADA Outstanding Achievement in Clinical Diabetes Research Award. That is amazing. It's a lifetime achievement award in a huge field. Diabetes research, huge field. And to be selected for this recognition is just amazing. Silva, congratulations, really terrific. Right on that vein, our very own Kim Ritchie in Pediatric Hematology Oncology was selected for an American Society of Pediatric Hematology Oncology Distinguished Career Award, another Lifetime Achievement Award. So proud of Kim for this accomplishment. But there's more. Liz Miller this year, in addition to being a distinguished daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Miller, was also recognized as a distinguished daughter of the whole Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That is amazing, amazing recognition. And that's not just a healthcare recognition. That's like distinguished daughters, and there are a lot of them in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And then finally, I want to acknowledge our colleague, Deb Bogan. Deb spent about 20 years in the Division of General Academic Pediatrics doing great work around lactation and neonatal abstinence, and helmed a number of training programs in the Department of Pediatrics, and made a wise career move for us by leaving the department in early 2020 to be the director of the Allegheny County Health Department and stewarded us through the COVID pandemic. And she's now taking those ample skills and helping at the level of the state. And this year, Deb was recognized as the Pennsylvania AAP Pediatrician of the Year Award. That is wonderful and well-deserved recognition for Dr. Bogan. And I just wonder if we could maybe pause and acknowledge all these award recipients and those I couldn't even mention. Indeed, indeed. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I want to go now and review some clinical service accomplishments. And I put a little photograph on the bottom left-hand corner just to let you know that those folks in the cath lab actually do work and they do take care of patients, even though you might not see them all the time because they're sequestered in dark places with little thin tubes in any event. So we're going to review some of the accomplishments that we've made clinically. First of all, we're in the top 10 again. We're in the top 10 again. We're in the top 10 again. Okay. Amazing team accomplishment. We have every single one of the Department of Pediatrics ranked subspecialties within the top 20, actually the top 17. And of course, infectious disease contributed to all of those. So we're really, really pleased about that. And gosh, I can't thank enough Gabby Butler, Brian Martin, and Colleen Tipping, because they really helmed this entire process and worked very hard to collect all of our data, ensure that our quality and safety, efficiency initiatives are all right at the top. And it's so gratifying to be recognized in this way. We're in the top 10, right where we belong. Okay, I don't need to tell you all that this has been a busy year, academic year 2022 to 2023, and here are the numbers to back up that assertion. First of all, in the outpatient department, we saw 320,000 children, and of course, that's a new world record for UPMC Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, 320,000 outpatients. And there's some math around that, you know, equates to around 1,000 a day. I mean, it's really, really remarkable. And the emergency department was busy too. And, you know, when you look at these numbers, it appears that, you know, we had a fall off in academic year 23. Well, we didn't. It was really the wisdom of emergency department leadership, or hospital leadership, and CCP leadership, Alejandro Hoberman and his team, to open an express care right here on our site that decanted a large number of children from the emergency department to a more appropriate venue for those children to be seen, so that we didn't have wait times. I mean, sitting in the waiting room for 6, 7, 8 hours at a time. But still, this is just amazing volume. And I indicated in red anywhere care, and that's just what it is. You know, you could be in Texas or Germany and call up and get Ray Patetti on the phone, and he will take care of that child and make sure that things are done well. That's anywhere care. Grateful. Our inpatient and observation unit admissions continued to increase. I mean, it's just really remarkable. This is another world record, another world record. And y'all know why this is. There are two contributors primarily. One is we were surging with respiratory viruses last year from about this time, early September, until the end of March. But even into the latter part of the spring, we had days where we came very close and sometimes went over our licensed capacity with children. We were incredibly busy. The other thing is that many community hospitals in our region have closed their tiny pediatric units. And they may have only had 2 beds or 4 or even 8, but they closed them. They needed those beds to take care of adult patients. They couldn't staff them up. And where did those children come to? They came to the best children's hospital in the world. That's where they came. And because we were busy, that didn't deter them from coming. So they came. And so when you plot this as the average daily census, so how many children we have on the average day, we peaked out in this past year at 291 children for 317 beds. That's 92%. That's average. Okay, that's average. And some days we're way above average, just saying. And so incredible number of sick children. And I put these numbers up not to crow about world records. This is not like the personal best when you run the 5K, or in my case, when you walk most of the 5K. These numbers represent children who were sick and needed to come into the hospital and needed us to take care of them. And sadly, not all of them went home, but they came here because you all provide exemplary care. Compassionate, evidence-based, exemplary care. And I am grateful to you all for doing that. I want to thank very much our clinical administrative management team. This is Mike Communow's team, our assistant administrators, our division administrators, our program managers, all working in the background, FAA flight controllers, making sure the planes take off and land on time. They don't crash into each other. They do amazing work, and I'm incredibly grateful. I want to particularly thank Mike Communow. Mike is my partner in leading the Department of Pediatrics. And although he's pictured here with the clinical administrative team, he could be with any team that forms to lead some aspect of the Department of Pediatrics. No decision of any importance is made without Mike helping me and others make that decision. And I'm very, very grateful for his leadership and his partnership. Indeed. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I'm going to move on and share some updates around education, training, and faculty development. Of course, so many photographs I could have used to illustrate this slide. I picked our residents, but I could have shown pictures of our fellows, our students, the high school student we had in our lab this summer. I mean, just amazing learners we have in our community. So grateful for them all. The Office of Education is, of course, led by Noelle Spears and as the Vice Chair of Education. And Noelle has assembled a terrific team to guide really all aspects of what we do in GME and UME and in graduate research. I'm grateful to all of them. I want to spend just a few minutes first on our UME curriculum. We teach a lot of medical students, as you know, and I'm grateful for John Smuziak, who leads this effort. John and Vilden Tass are co-directors of the pediatric clerkship. This is the required third-year clerkship. They're co-directors, Benny McCaig and Katie Hayes, thank you. Laura Panko, Betsy Sensening, and Allie Williams all lead the pediatric acting internship. This is a fourth-year elective for those students who are interested in careers in pediatrics or maybe med peds or medicine. Nate Kramer has 2 jobs. He leads the pediatric EM educational experience. And with Aaron Cummings, he also leads the advanced physical exam course. And we're grateful to him and to Aaron. And Marlon High, who was recognized this year by a William I. Cohen Award for administrative support by the School of Medicine. It's never been done before. She helms all of this seemingly effortlessly, and we're grateful to Marlene and all of these undergraduate medical education leaders. Let's thank them, please. As many of you know, our curriculum is being revised. Our medical curriculum is being revised to form the Three Rivers curriculum. That's an endeavor that's been about 3 years in the making, and it's launched. And I wish I could tell you the plane is fully built and ready to land. There's some key parts that need to be placed, like landing gear, but nonetheless, we're off. And I want to thank at the beginning John Schmuziak, who was involved in the sponsor team that led to the conception of this new curriculum. And then with John and Andy McCormick, who's now on the curriculum committee and helping with planning, we have recruited an amazing number of pediatricians into the Three Rivers curriculum. These are all pediatrics faculty who have important leadership roles in the new curriculum with protected time. And are you ready for this? Funding from the School of Medicine to teach. I know it's a unique concept, but we're really, really grateful for this support. So we have an overrepresentation of pediatricians in our new curriculum, and I'm very, very pleased about all the roles that they're playing. There'll be more opportunities, teachers, for those who want to get involved in this, for sure, for sure. More opportunities, and be looking for those as the years pass. We have the best residency program in the world in any discipline. We happen to be pediatricians, so we train up pediatric residents. But this program is so ably led by Rhett Lieberman and Jem Wolford and Annie Nowak and Kate Watson, Ben Miller and Katie Pollock. And I'm so grateful to them for their leadership of this amazing residency program. I also want to acknowledge Mushmi Malik. Mushmi joined the residency leadership team just this year, just in the past couple of months, to serve with Andy as the co-director of our Pediatric Scientist Development Program. This is our research residency to accelerate the careers of those pediatric physician scientists who want to subspecialize and make contributions to healthcare through discovery. We have an amazing intern class. Very excited about this group. 42 interns we welcome this summer. 42, indeed. And here's a stat I'm especially proud of. 8 of these 42 new interns come from groups underrepresented in medicine. That's 19% of our intern class, 19% high watermark for us. And a huge thank you to Loretta Mateo and Jem Wolford, who helm our diversity recruitment efforts for the residents and the fellows. So just really, really well done. 42, indeed. Our residents, Andy sent me this map. The blue dots are the schools where they came from. And our residents come from 3 continents, North America, Europe, and Asia, and even Arizona. So we have residents from truly throughout the world joining our group. The residents are in turn led by an amazing group of chief residents, just amazing, amazing. I want to call out Krishna Trivedi, Martha Stewart, Aditi Jain, and Yona Calado Puelo, who are the chief residents this year for this amazing residency program. I'm incredibly excited to be working with them this year because we're developing a new curriculum for our 2nd and 3rd year residents focused around Chair's Report, where we're going to try and foster acquisition of competencies around leadership, and specifically leadership in healthcare. I'm very excited about this because we're creating it from whole cloth. We really are, and we're going to be. It's going to be an exciting year. We hope to get most of it right and continue to enhance this curriculum in the years to come. And this was all their idea, not mine. And so I'm really grateful to you all. Okay, each year I really have a privilege, of course, of giving this talk, but a privilege of recognizing our top 10 teachers. These are the top 10 teachers selected by our residents through the evaluations that they provide for us when they work with us in our clinical services. Our residents are pretty discerning. They've been through a lot of school, like from kindergarten on, it's like 20 some years of school, and they can judge effective educators probably better than anyone I know. And so this year, I want to call out Amanda Brown, Jess Daly, Julia Dilliard, Cassie Formack, Jenna Gesser, Kristen Hannibal, Andy Nowak, Ellie Sharp, Arvind Srinath, and Kate Watson. And I want to particularly call out Jess and Julie and Cassie and Kristen and Ellie. These 5 remarkable members of our faculty are first time selected into the top 10. And what amazing accomplishment from those. So we need to congratulate these. Yeah. Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Thank you. Okay, our fellowship leader team is second to none. Noel and Arvin lead that effort with lots of great help from Becky Chiaffi. Now, they would say Becky leads everything with lots of great help from them, and it's probably closer to the truth, but what a wonderful leadership program. They helm 20 different fellowships, 20. And of course, the most frequent request I receive from division directors, can A, I add another fellow, or B, can I add a fellowship program? And as our fields become increasingly complex and subspecialized, one can understand why you might want to do that. And we're working really hard for that to happen. This is a photograph that Noel shared with me, fellowship orientation day, when the first year class of 2023 gathered right here on this stage. And I don't know that we'll ever see them together again like this until graduation 2026. And we'll perhaps get another pic where most of them will be here. It's a really remarkable group that we welcome. Our Office of Faculty Development, and that's led by Sylvia Choi, our Vice Chair of Faculty Affairs, is just terrific. Supporting so many endeavors in faculty development, career advancement, educational scholarship. There's so many things they do. They're also actors, and they do summer stock. And this is a little piece that Sylvia shared with me about a play. I don't know which one, but I think it's a Pirates and Penzance piece. They wanted me to highlight a couple of developments, and there's so many, and gosh, it's hard because they're busy in so many domains. But in the area of professional advancement, all of these promotions, and again, to thanks Rick and Sylvia and Savannah for helping with that. And then a brand new program that Erica Freeling has established, All Aboard the Mentorship. This is formal training and mentoring. It's exceedingly ecumenical. We have senior folks, junior folks, clinically oriented faculty members, science-oriented faculty members, all together participating in these workshops, and really excited to continue this program and expand it. And of course, the participants in the program now, trained mentors, will then serve as facilitators for the program going forward. And so this is just going to grow and grow. I think all of us can benefit from such training. Gosh, in the area of leadership development, I want to thank Rick and Sylvia and Erica for developing leadership training for our senior departmental leaders, that's vice chairs, division directors, and Lord knows the chair, as well as mid-career and rising leaders, and our clinical services directors. And these curricula were all developed with these particular learners in mind and are all ongoing. And we really appreciate the attendance and all the feedback about how we can get better in new topics. In the area of scholarship, I have to thank Mel Tavares for leading these programs sponsored by the OFD to provide educational grants. And we provided many of those over the year, and acknowledge Amanda Brown's grant for 2023. And then in the area of well-being, Marin Luno wrote a grant application to UPMC for the Thank Yins program. And I'm curious if I could just see a show of hands. How many have either been thanked or have thanked? Could you put your hands up? I mean, that's really remarkable. We've done many, and those who haven't had the opportunity to thank, please do. It's really easy to do, to get on the website. And when a colleague has done something that gets you excited, helping you with a patient, teaching you something you didn't know, giving you a restriction enzyme in the middle of the night when you needed it, write them a thank yous, get them a cup of coffee, but more than that, it makes them feel awesome. So thank you, Marin, for developing that program. Okay, we have 2 new training directors just appointed this year. We have great training programs in the Department of Pediatrics. Our NIH-funded T32 program is a completely ecumenical program. We train laboratory investigators, clinical investigators, health service investigators, and the training director of that program is Tracy Kazmersky, who'll be working in partnership with me to helm that program. Keep us in your prayers because we need to submit the competing renewal next spring, and we really would like to continue this on. It's been really, really good. And then Ling Lin is the training director of our K-12 program, whereas the T32 focuses on fellows, the K-12 focuses on junior faculty to help with that bridge between fellowship and independent faculty positions. And Ling just stepped on just the 1st of September to be the training director of the K-12. I want to thank Linda McAllister, who was the training director prior to Ling. And so Ling will be partnering with me to lead that K-12. And so, gosh, could we acknowledge these wonderful educators, great new training directors? All right. Okay. So we're going to move now and share some major discoveries in the Department of Pediatrics, major discoveries. I first want to acknowledge 2 new associate vice chairs. Amanda Pahalik is our new associate vice chair of basic research, and Kristen Ray is our new Associate Vice Chair of Clinical Research. Now, in truth, I thought we appointed Kristen last year, and I had forgotten to share her appointment with you all at State of the Department last year. In truth, it was the year before that. So today I correct that. And announce the appointment of Kristen Ray as our sort of new Associate Vice Chair of Clinical Research. She's been doing a great job for the last 2 years. Okay, welcome Amanda and Kristen in those roles. A couple of firsts I want to share that I'm particularly proud of. I'm really proud of Melissa Kane and her team because they published a paper earlier this year in the Journal of Virology, and this is Melissa's first last author paper as a lab team leader and faculty member. Really proud of Melissa. And likewise, Megan Freeman just published her first last author paper published in MBio just a couple of weeks ago. So both these assistant professors have published their first last author papers. They're off, they're leading their lab teams. We just got to pause and acknowledge that's amazing. Okay, I can barely contain my enthusiasm. Because we are now going to recognize members of our faculty who have received Department of Pediatrics Excellence in Research Awards. We've never done this before. 2023 is our inaugural year to recognize these faculty accomplishments. Now, in years past, division directors would send to me papers that they were particularly proud of from their divisions, and I got a bunch of them. And I would curate these and pick 4 or 5 that I thought represented the diversity of research in our department and not highlight the same folks every year. That's what I did. And I thought we ought to probably formalize that a bit. Sorry for the squeak, formalize that a little bit. And so I asked John Alcorn and Alejandro Hoberman and Liz Miller to join me to make a selection committee and then formally asked division directors to nominate papers from their division in 4 categories. So I'm going to share the award winners and a little bit about the paper, the basis for why we're making this award. And I would like the award winners to come right up here and join me on the lectern, not to fact check me when I'm talking about your work, but just to join me for a second. And I've got just a little bit of recognition, just a tad. And we're ready for photographs. We're ready for photographs. Okay, just want to make sure the press is here. Okay, good. So first, in the category of basic research, I want to recognize Amanda Pahalik for her paper that was published in Science Immunology. So Amanda, please join me right up here on the stage. Okay, this amazing paper in Science Immunology. And in it, Amanda and her team are getting right into the molecular basis for why T cells get exhausted and give up the fight in the context of cancer. That's what she's really focused on. And let me tell you, there's a lot of science immunology in this Science Immunology paper, like 100 panels. And I picked a couple that I could understand. So just to share them with you. First of all, most of this work was done with mouse models, and a model that Amanda and her team really likes to use is these cells that are called B16 cells. They make melanomas and they grow really fast. So you put them in a mouse and the mouse gets cancer really quickly. So here, these are mice inoculated with these B16 cells, and these are the tumors that grow. And then what Amanda's team did is they treated the mice either with a control immunoglobulin or 2 immunotherapeutic checkpoint inhibitor type immunoglobulins, one called anti-4-1BB and then another anti-PD-1. This is immunotherapy to try and wake up immune cells. And then what Amanda found is that in the animals treated with the anti-4-1BB, that's in yellow, that gene expression in these 3 genes, ATF3, BATF3, and this last one, MAFB, these are all genes that encode transcription factors that turn on genes that wake up immune cells, okay? Wake up immune cells. So what Amanda was able to show was how these immunotherapies really work. But the story is even better because why do these immune cells get quiet? And part of it is because they need oxygen. And what Amanda was able to discover is that the low oxygen environment in the tumors leads to these genes just quiet down. And so knowing that fact, we now have some immunotherapeutic targets we can go after to wake these cells up so we can do a better job fighting cancer. So Amanda, I have a certificate for you. Okay, but more important, I got a big check. Anything you would like, as long as there's something to do with it. Something. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Thank you and your team. You see why I'm excited. It's like, cool. This is really cool. Okay. Our next award is in the category of translational research, sort of bench to bedside or bedside to bench research. And I'm really thrilled to be able to announce that the award winner in this category is Dr. Kelly Bailey. Now, as luck would have it, Kelly is actually talking about this work at a meeting, so can't be with us. But her lab manager and the second author of the paper, Elena Mukherjee, is here, I think. Oh, Elena, come, join me right up here. Yeah, indeed. So Kelly has spent most of her professional career in science focused on this unusual bone cancer in children called Ewing sarcoma. It's incredibly aggressive, what we have to offer is just frankly not good enough. And so how do we make progress? We need to understand a little bit more about it, how it's caused and what happens within these tumors. So Kelly helmed this big study, and of course, Elena was really important in doing this work, in which they collected primary tumor tissue from children with either osteosarcoma or Ewing sarcoma, and then compared these tissues for the type of immune cells that infiltrate in them. So I'll just show you one figure from this work. So shown on the left are panels from a primary lesion and then 2 relapses from a child with Ewing sarcoma. And then on the right is a child with osteosarcoma, and this is the primary lesion, and this is 2 relapses later. And what Kelly and her team did is used really sophisticated immunofluorescence imaging where they could mark the individual T cells in the tumor to try and figure out what they were. So what kind of T cells are getting into that tumor? And you can see the patterns are different, just the colored bars are different between the two. But I draw your attention to this orange bar here. This orange bar here marks T cells that have a transcription factor that's called FOXP3. And the aficionados know of FOXP3 because that's expressed in regulatory T cells. And what regulatory T cells do is quiet the immune system down, which is the last thing you want done in the middle of a cancer. So I find it remarkable that our basic research awardee is working on the mechanisms of this immune quiescence. And now we have evidence that it's really important that we understand it because that's exactly what's happening in these tumors. And so I want to congratulate Kelly and Elena and their team. This is a certificate for Kelly and big check, big, amazing big check. Our photographer is our amazing Zach Budovich. He's our communications specialist. And thank you, Zach. Yeah, indeed, everybody. Okay, next category is in clinical research. And before I say another word, I just have to acknowledge the 60th anniversary of the Pediatric Clinical Trials Research Center. And I want to thank Silva for her awesome leadership of that group. And this was a celebration we had late last year when we were still wearing masks. It may come back, the whole mask business, but nonetheless, I'm really proud of the achievements of that group. So in the category of clinical research, I want to announce our awardee, and it's Nader Sheikh. Nader, could you join me, please? Indeed. This important study examined the effect of antibiotic therapy for common sinusitis in children, a very common condition. And it really got to the idea that truly not every child with sinusitis symptoms actually has bacterial infection. And do antibiotics work in that context? Well, when you look at all comers in this trial, about 250 children randomized to placebo, the other 250 randomized to antibiotics with amoxicillin clavulanic acid. And you can see that overall antibiotics help a tad. Children treated with placebo do pretty well too, but antibiotics help better. There's no question about that. But then when you break this down, the 71% of children that had a true live pathogen identified in culture had the greatest antibiotic effect. And the 29% of children that had no pathogens identified, no real difference between placebo and antibiotics. And Nader and his team make the point that maybe we ought to try and do some culturing before we start antibiotics and could save a lot of unnecessary antibiotic treatment from these kids, messing with their microbiome, selecting resistant organisms, all kinds of reasons to be careful with the use of our antimicrobials. Nader, this is amazing work. Please accept this certificate. No, wait. Well done. Well done. Okay, our last paper is in the area of health services research, how we take care of people at a system level, and what are the most important factors in providing this care. And we have two winners of this award, and those are Mary Ellen Vajravelu and Silva Arcelanian. Mary Ellen, the first author, Silva, the last author in this beautiful paper in diabetes care. Could you all come and join me up here on the stage? Indeed. This paper looked at huge databases of children with type 1 and type 2 diabetes and tried to understand the impact of the COVID pandemic on obesity, body index, body mass index, and glycemic control. And so what they were able to do is in this is just showing the data from children with type 1 diabetes, almost 1,300 children in this analysis. And shown on the top is this is the BMI and Z-score BMI, and shown on the bottom is the hemoglobin A1C, where you'd sort of like it in the 7-ish range, 7 to 8. And so they were able to stratify this group into 6 different clusters, and they're shown here, C1 through C6. And the main finding they made is that the relative risk ratio of group membership in the highest risk class, this is the 6th class, and this would be defined as poor glycemic control, and you can see that, and obesity for Black youth was 3.3 relative to white youth as the index group. That's an amazing amount of risk in this particular group. And what this points to is a clear racial disparity and puts a bright light on social influences of health, and now can help us better target the types of interventions and the types of trials we need to sort out which interventions are best so we can do a better job with these kids who really need us. And this is amazing work, tear to the eye work, and so grateful to Mary Ellen and Silva and their team for doing this. I've got certificates for both of you. Mary Ellen. Right, one big check. Here's the Mary Ellen. 100 told me to the Silva, and it's not fun. It's Silva. That's what it's. All right. Okay, we're going to move a little quickly. First, if you want to hear more great science, this afternoon, our second annual Women in Science Symposium is going to be held. I want to thank Sylvia Choi, Linda McAllister for helping to helm this and their committee for putting it on. Everybody's invited. You're going to hear great science from women scientists, trainees and faculty alike, and the networking happy hour after this will be fun too. So please come to as much as you can, and men especially feel welcome. Feel welcome. You're going to hear some great science. Okay, we've had a great year in research, and gosh, I want to thank all the investigators who have made these contributions. We had $62.1 million in research revenue this year. This shows the distribution of our research revenue. Most comes from the NIH, but sizable amounts from industry and subcontracts. There were several new K awards this year. We had 5 new K awards in the department. And we had a number of major grants. These would be grants that had annual costs of over $250,000. And I want to point out that Brian Camfield and Allison Silva received their first R01 or R01 equivalent awards in Allison's case. And then likewise, Tracy Kasmersky, Dewey, Kamala Dewey, and Anita McElroy also received their first R01 grants. And this just rounds the group out. But I just want to thank those first R01 grant recipients. That's good stuff. Amazing, good stuff. Okay, and I want to thank our clinical research leadership team. This is the group that stands up all the clinical trials. So our study nurses and coordinators, folks in the background doing biostats and stuff, and thank Sylvan and Alejandro for their leadership of these efforts. And then also our research administrative management team. This is a great team who helm pre-award and post-award grant support, and often in the middle of the night, writing emails back to us as soon as we email them. So thank you for all of that work. And then I just want to say a couple thanks to the foundation team. And so the foundation team, as you'll see in a moment, receives donations from some of the most generous people on planet Earth, and work hard to steward those donations and distribute those to areas within the hospital where they really have the greatest impact. This is a photograph that Rachel and the team sent to me after the Walk for Children's, where they're particularly proud that they raised this year for the first time over $1 million. And if you look closely, that could be Ms. Petrocelli holding the one in the could be. And I want to thank Rachel and her team, the leadership team of the foundation, for working so hard to support us. And then to congratulate them on $51.9 million raised in this past fiscal year, which is a new foundation record. Really, really remarkable. Thank you. Okay. Coming to closing up, I wanted to leave you with a couple of reflections about great accomplishments in pediatrics. And I love history, and I think it's so important to look to the past a bit, because it provides a perspective for us where we were. That perspective is important. And it also provides some clues to what we can expect in the future. And so I just want to show you some highlights. First, in the area of cystic fibrosis, the advances that we have made in cystic fibrosis are nothing more than breathtaking. This just shows the cumulative percentage of deaths here first in 1991. Very rare for anyone with cystic fibrosis to live past the age of 45. And this is what that line looks like in 2021. And then when you look at what life expectancy appears to be, this is life expectancy. This is what you expect for the average. This is what we're seeing. I mean, this is just remarkable. From 1987 to 2021, that's not a very long period of time. Thanks to Daniel Weiner for sharing these slides. We've made similar advances in congenital heart disease, and Arvind Hoskapal sent me this slide. And I guess Arvind didn't know that I might not recognize the heart and confuse it with the liver or the brain or something. And anyway, so the heart there is on the left, and there's a lot of chambers and things that sometimes don't form exactly right and don't form. And, you know, in 1965, the first car I ever drove was a 1965 Mustang, just to let you know. But in 1965, 70% of human beings in the United States with congenital heart disease were children. Only 30% were adults. In the year 2000, that number had equilibrated, so about half those with congenital heart disease were adults. And now, not even now, I mean 2010, 2/3 of those with congenital heart disease are adults, not kids, which means that the kids with congenital heart disease are growing up, becoming adults, and having families and making all kinds of contributions to society. It's just amazing. The situation, I want to thank Arvind again for those. Kim Ritchie sent me this slide about childhood cancer, and this is another amazing news story. If one looks 75 to 77, 5-year cancer survival, all cancers in kids about 58%. And then in the interval 2005 to 2011, which is pretty old data, quite frankly, it's up to 83%. The big advances all over, but acute leukemia is unbelievable. this curve here, the black curve, showing that survival, you know, even up to 4 years after diagnosis, is very unusual. This is 68 to 1970. And now, you know, the expectation is 95% of children are going to survive this cancer, even more. In research around acute leukemia is, can we reduce the amount of chemotherapy to get this result? So we don't have so many complications down the road. I mean, it's very remarkable. Radhika Mazumdar shared some slides about diabetes. First, she just wanted to remind us that they're seeing a lot of children with diabetes. These are the number of unique patients with diabetes just in the last couple of years, and you can see that increase. This is type 1 predominantly. And at children's, most of the kids now, about 90%, are followed with continuous glucose monitoring. That's just, again, remarkable. And you can see how we do in this table with the hemoglobin A1Cs incredibly well with Radhika and her team. You know, it wasn't that long ago when there was very little one could do when a child had type 1 diabetes. A lot of hydration, lots of things were tried, and those children all died. And now we control this illness, and there are far more adults living with type 1 diabetes than kids. John Williams shared this slide with me, and one of the most important advances in all of healthcare, and certainly in pediatric healthcare, has been the use of immunizations. And there's a lot of information on this slide, these childhood preventable illnesses, but I just want to come to this summary. This is looking at children in this 94 to 2013 era and what the effective vaccines did. And vaccines reduced the total hospitalization, total illnesses during that interval by about 320 million, okay, million. Reduced hospitalizations by about 21 million, and then reduced deaths in that interval by about 730,000 deaths. It's about 35,000 deaths a year. Every year, 35,000 children saved because of vaccines. I mean, that is just, I mean, it's miraculous. And we don't celebrate it enough. These are amazing advances in pediatrics. They provide perspective, and they also give us a clue about what we can expect in the future. I want to close up and see if I get this plane down at least close to the on-time landing time. And I first want to thank our exceptional divisional and executive leadership. This is Tim Shope, Alejandro Hoberman, and Bob Hickey standing in front of somebody else's fish in this place called Ashtabula, Ohio. And of course, Alejandro's got the big smile on his face because he talked Shope and Hickey out of using these fish for sushi, because I don't know where Ashtabula, excuse me, but it's a long way from an ocean, you know, and would not be good for sushi. We have wonderful divisional and center leadership. And if I could just ask all the division directors, center directors, and institute directors who are in the audience to stand up so we could recognize them. Could you please stand up? Humor me for a sec, please. All y'all. All y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So many things to be grateful for, but the opportunity to work with this leadership team fills me with lots of gratitude. We have new leaders to share. Jen Clace is our new director of the Division of Newborn Medicine. She's been in the role formally since April. Scott Maurer is leading a brand new division for us. This is the Division of Palliative Medicine and Supportive Care. He started in July. Allison Silva, our newest permanent division director, has been in the job now for 7 days, not that we're counting, and we're grateful. And we're really thankful to Cheryl Hillary, who has stepped up as the interim division director in pediatric hematology oncology. She just started 7 days ago too. And I want to thank Linda for her amazing service as director of the pediatric hematology oncology service. We can clap for Linda. We totally can. Last, in our new leaders, I want to thank Uday Pandey, who's our new director of the Children's Neuroscience Institute, a role that he's had since March 1. And I'm very excited about where we're going with children's neurosciences. We have a great executive committee. These are all the vice chairs. And of course, we took this photograph when we were making cover art for our new album. We perform We perform as Chat DOP, and we'll be touring later this fall in support of this record. And you can hear us, and we like to do small unplugged venues, within the first couple of months of a release. But we'll do stadium shows in the spring, and if you have trouble getting tickets, just let us know. Now, John is not in this picture. I feel badly for that. John's our power drummer. He was fixing his snare and missed it. I want to thank our amazing administrative team. These are the folks that truly helm all of the processes that we do in the department. Clinical operations, all of our educational processes, research and discovery. They really helped me with all those letters and help keep the trains running on time. So grateful for them all. We have a wonderful leadership team within Children's, just wonderful, wonderful. And I can't thank Diane and the team that she's assembled to guide our hospital forward. Here they're getting ready to give hot dogs away, and they'll do anything to support us, and I'm grateful to them. I'll just close up with this last thanks. This is my lab team. Last time we got together as a group was in the ASV meeting. We were all together last summer, and I'm so grateful to this group for their smarts, their creativity, their hard work, and their kindness, and giving me the opportunity to really live my dream. My avocation is to do research, and they put my life into balance, being able to work with this team, and I'm incredibly grateful to them. And then I'll just close up with this last. You all, we've been through a challenging year, and I don't know that there's any other way to say that than we've been through a challenging year. And I'm not sure what the year to come will bring. I'm not sure. I'm not that good with predictions. I made a lot of predictions about COVID that were not true, and I'm not going to venture to make any more now. But here are 4 predictions that I know are true. Firstly, children in our area, in greater Pittsburgh and Western PA and throughout our region are going to need us. They are. The second is Pittsburgh pediatricians and Pittsburgh scientists deserve the very best training. The third is great discoveries are right around the corner, And the fourth, no matter what challenges come, our amazing teams let me know that we got this. Department of Pediatrics, we got this. We totally got this. And so Department of Pediatrics, thank you for an amazing year. This has been truly an amazing year. I'm so proud of you and proud of the accomplishments and proud of all the work you do. And I wish you an amazing year to come. Thank you very much.